Hello and welcome, Computer Programming 2 students. This is going to be a long video over how I'm configuring a new application from the start. In fact, this was the application I was more interested in than to do an event planner. It would be to basically make my own version of typing into Google search, getting updated information on NBA games, the standings, teams themselves, etc., etc. But it's pretty bare bones right now, and I'll walk you through some of the steps that I went through with the event planner, the order in which I typed things, and the order in which I thought about things. So this can be a main reference guide. Even though this video will be longer, I will provide numbers in the description below of specific timestamps of when I talked about things. So right here, if you look to the left, we'll go over understanding the relationship between routes, gets, posts, and rendering HBS templates, how to start connecting to the database. Many of you have already here, but just in case. Putting information into the database, so many of us have done this, and more importantly, retrieving information from the database with future goals of how do we get more than one piece of information out of the database itself. Now, I've mentioned this a few times where I've said I do know how to get multiple pieces of information, but when it comes to displaying them, there's going to be some special HBS code that's involved that doesn't just come out of the box. You kind of have to build your own template around it each specific time. So it's really simple to just say I want 10 pieces of information every single time, rather than saying I would like all pieces of information that fit a specific category, because sometimes that could be 10, other times that could be 20, and so rather than your website just loading lots of blank information, which is definitely not aesthetically pleasing, you only want it to load exactly as much as you want, and to not undershoot and to not overshoot. So let's jump into things. I'll switch screens and we'll start this coding demo off right. Okay, let's pull this back up. So one thing you'll notice is that I'm still working in Atom, but there's some yellow over there to the side. Specifically, Atom was also made by GitHub, the place where we store our code. And the yellow means that I have typed some things in these files that don't exist in my online repository. So in the future, I will want to go ahead and save these things and upload them, and then they'll turn back to gray and everything will be back to usual. So on my second monitor, which is in picture-in-picture right now, this is what you see. So specifically, you can see here I've added some video goals, and I moved where goals was and I changed it to main goals. I would type my statements here, I would click submit, so added some explaining text, and the yellow over here will go away when I commit this, meaning that it's up to date. When I want to upload it to the internet, I would click this little box right here, and that would basically complete the overall process. So this is just going to live on my other computer monitor. I don't know why it's moving like that. And I'll minimize it. So on the other computer screen, which again is in the lower right-hand corner over here, that's my event app. So if I feel like I need to reference what I did before, I'll be lifting some information from there, and then that will help get us to where we need to be. So right now, let's see, localhost 3000. It is not turned on, so one thing I will do, of course, good old npm start. Notice it doesn't say connected to the database, because right now my NBApp has no knowledge that the database exists. So that's totally fine. We'll get that up and running soon. And here's what it looks like. So imagine I'd have a bunch of teams here and a bunch of teams here. When I click on schedule, this would tell me all of the teams' schedule in the league, but I get this crashing error that I couldn't find this page. So let's just go back to 3000. Or if I want to know the standings in the league, like which team has the best record, I'd click on this. Again, it's not really up to date, so it doesn't find exactly what I want. It seems as though all I have programmed is the 3000 page. So from here, this means that I need to dictate other web pages that are going to exist, and each web page is going to have one route. Now that doesn't mean that multiple routes have their own templates. In fact, you can have like 3 or 4 routes share the same template, and that's the beauty of this. So we're not having to double down on the efforts of things that we've already done before. So let's say that right now I would like to activate the schedule. This means I need to make a schedule route. So I'll pull up Atom. Don't need this README for the time being. So here's my app. My app is going to have 3 main routes. I'll make another one later probably. Index, which is just sort of imagine everything from the default page, so 3000. I've got teams, so if I want to know about a team specifically, and schedules. So I already have a schedules route. So that means when I click this, I should be thinking that I'm working off of the schedules route. And specifically, that doesn't really exist right now. Notice that I tell the computer that to go look in the routes folder for teams. So in the routes folder, I have teams, but schedules will fail. So if I look in the routes folder for schedules, it's there, but I'm not telling the app that it's allowed to use this. So I will take this line of code, copy it, use everyone's favorite Control-D, call this schedules. I need to make sure that it's also plural up here. It is plural, it is plural. Alright, so now that'll work. And schedules, teams. I did also imagine that there was a standings route, I believe. So standings, so I should probably make that as well. So over here, copy this. Standings. I should be allowed to use standings. And that means I need to make a standings route. So notice here in schedules, there isn't really anything. I'm going to copy this, make a new file, standings.javascript, paste it. So a particular team or schedule. Nope, this should be reports the state of the league. Funny. You notice all that red right here. Oh, it's going insane. That's because this quote is used for strings, but I use this in normal plain old English, so I need to escape that character. So it thinks that it's English, and it doesn't think that it's actual JavaScript. Notice here that you see some green instead of some yellow. Green means that I added something that did not exist before, and yellow means that I modified what had already existed. And there is going to be no red. Or maybe red should be that you deleted it, but technically if you deleted it, it wouldn't be there, so you couldn't see it. But we'll find out. Okay. So now when I do standings, it should send me this message instead. So a little bit about these messages right here. The get means that you're requesting information. 304 means it was already saved in the computer and I just pulled it up rather than actually contacting the server. 404 is your famous not found error. And if you get something in the 200s, that means that you actually contacted the server for the first time. So that should happen to us here. Control-C. Just clear these messages. npm start. Alright, everything is fine, no crashes. I refresh the page. I click schedule. 404 not found. That's alright, we didn't enable anything for schedule. But I believe we enabled standings, so let's give that a try. And it says reports the state of the league's standings. So that route is now operational. It doesn't do very much, but at least, you know, it is a work in progress. Okay, so let's say I wanted to spruce up this route a little bit. Let's look at what Google does, right? So NBA. Notice here that this is the schedules that pop up. So you got the teams and when they're going to play. If I go down here, let's see. So you can see I'm pretty much just trying to rip this off, which is totally fine in terms of how it works. So I got this big box, right? You got a team by their line, and it's split up conference by conference. So for simplicity's sake, I can have them divided by conference, or I could just have all the teams together. It doesn't really matter. But when I see this, I see one giant rectangle with one rectangle for each team, and then they're just in a row, in a row, in a row. So over here, I want to make this page look a lot better. So instead of saying res.send, I will say, that's weird, res.render. And now what render would do is it would go look in my views for something specific. So what does it say? I got error, index, layout, league schedules. No. Team schedules. Seems like I need to make a league standings page. Notice I'm trying to use words consistency like league and like team. So I could say standings or I could say league standings. Or I could even go and say conference standings. So a new file, league standings.hps. There it is. I created it. It didn't exist before. So now I can say render league standings, and it'll do that for me. So I don't really need this anymore. It can die. Save that up. Okay, so on the league standings page, let's see what I've done on other pages. So index, this is for 2 columns, so I'm not really interested in that. Layout, there is one giant column here, so it's just a section. And so I think I would benefit from having another section. So section, I can put a giant div here. So let's say div. Eastern comes before Western, so I can say class conference, and I can give it an ID and say ID Eastern, ID Western. Now, ideally, this is where HBS would repeat something multiple times, and I wouldn't have to type it 16 times. But as I said, I'm not really there yet, so I will just type it out. Let's say 4 times each. But again, there's 32 teams in the league. I'm not gonna do this 32 times. That'd be a waste of my time. I can copy and paste this later. So I can say div, and I can say team. So now is where I'm thinking about how my team data is stored actually in the database. So with handlebars, I'm going to make a contract to myself about how I want to represent this in the future. So inside each one of these, let me think to myself. There could be, let's say that it's a h4. And I say, etc., etc. Team.name, and from here, I would say, we definitely need wins and we need losses. So we could say, I want it to be vertical. I don't want it to be div stats, and I could say, Yeah, we'll just say that for right now. Okay, so when we get a specific team, it'll have a name, it'll have wins, it'll have losses. Let's see what this looks like when I save it. Oh, right, because I changed the JavaScript page. Notice this is very stream of conscious right now. I haven't necessarily planned out everything that I'm going to say, so this is more like what you would imagine challenges that you would be facing if you were trying to make something on your own. Oh, that's crazy. Now let's go back here. Standings. Failed to look up league standings in views directory. I probably misspelled something. League. Yeah, legue. Definitely. Alright. Simple fix, am I right? Yeah, should be. 500 error. Oh no, it's in red. Standings. There it is. Wins, losses. Pretty boring. It's like way out of there. So I will need to add some things to my CSS file so that it, doesn't mess up like that. Okay. So let's go back to league standings XPS. So we got a section, right? I suppose I should call this section ID league standings. I think that that's a good idea, right? So you can notice how reusing the same words over and over again can be confusing, but it also binds the ideas of things together. So all of this information is not specific to the page I'm on. Main content styles. So over here I could say league standings page. And let's tab this out. So hashtag league standings. Its width needs to be something. What I do when I did main section, I did 50%. So hey, why not 50% again? Or is that, oh, that's the section within main. So what did I make main? Main I made with 60%. All right. So we make use 60%. I might as well copy that idea, right? Height is 600 pixels. Min width is 400 pixels. Yeah, I just really want to copy that, don't I? Alright, let's see what that does. Boom. Alright, wins, losses. And clearly we need some padding there, right? So that's not pretty. We have something called conference. And we have ID Eastern. So I could say conference the width to be I don't need to specify the width, that's okay. We'll say the height is, well, if there's 16 teams, pick something that'll divide by 16 nice, like, 400 pixels. Say the width is inherit. Let's give it a padding of 4, no, like 8. 8 pixels. And let's see what that does over here. Boom. Maybe the height should be 800. Did that change anything? Let's give this a background color just so I can see it. Hashtag 990. Get some yellow on the page. Ugly. Wow, does that go down far? Alright, I guess I didn't need 800. Go back to 400. So it busts out of that box, but, you know, we'll fix that later. Yeah. Alright, why is the width shorter? The width is inherit. The width is 60%, so that was dangerous. So if I say inherit, that was bad. Call it 100%. It'll be 100% of 60%, meaning it's the same. So that was like a. What's the math term for that? Ah. And then the padding pushed it over the edge. So it's okay too. There we go. Oh, interesting. So this doesn't need to be that long, actually. Yeah, this is actually a mistake. So the fact that I made them both that height is stupid. So main should have a height of this, but not nav. So this should just not be there. So now nav will have a height of that, and I can say so that's main. It says nav. So now if I go to the other page, no, that's still so big. That's still so big. Section. And I feel like I fixed that. I mean, don't I just need to make that 800? And then the padding pushes it over again. Okay, that's better for now. League standings, Eastern. I suppose I should give that a title, right? So I'll just do 2 of these here and 2 of those there. Okay. Now I do want these wins and losses to be floated so that they don't take up, that much space. So this says team name, that says team name. Of course, there is no team name, so I can say, like TN. So let's do this a few times. 1, 2, TN. So again, TN will be replaced by team name when the time comes. Okay, so now I'm going to try and float these things. So I call it a stats item, so that's what I want to do. So you've got stats, which is the box, and then team. So let's see. The fact that this is a H4 is going to give me some trouble. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's call this an A tag. Yeah, it's better. And let's see. All right, so stats should be display flex, and then stats item should be flex1. Stats display flex, stats item flex1. There we go. Wins, losses, wins, losses. Team name should be on the same line as that, So I will alter this code. So in addition to team name, 1, 2, 3, I will cut it. I will also put it in a div, which will also be called stats item. I'll go down into it, I'll paste that. Again, you're seeing how the multi-line tool is really useful. So inside stats, save. Ooh, it says stats temp item. Good save. Okay. So there we go. That looks better. All the team names would be stacked up. Eastern Conference, Western Conference. Shoot, made everything bigger. Oh well. Team name, wins, losses. Okay. Will this do what I want? Yeah. Okay. you know, I just like green better. It's also softer on the eyes here. Okay, so now I have this the way I can kind of stand it right now. Ha, no pun intended. Schedule still doesn't work. Alright, so just like last time, what I would do is I need to create the route for the schedule, and the schedule will just load lots of schedule objects. So I want this. I should probably make a comment right now. So on GitHub, it knows that I made lots of things. So this is all made basic outline for the standings HBS. Still need to verify how I want the standings data to look in the database. Okay, so I can go back. Okay, notice this all changed color because now, hypothetically, the repository is up to date. Suppose, see, this says I have 2 changes that I haven't pushed to the internet, but I can do that whenever I feel like it. Okay. So here we've got schedule, right? And this has got schedule. So if I go here to schedule, notice it would just do this. So when I type schedule here, it's looking for schedules all. And notice schedules all doesn't exist. Again, I only have just schedules. So I would copy this, copy, and say all, and this would be a list of all schedules. Save. So again, turn it off, turn it on again. Here we are. Boom, a list of all schedules. Again, that's boring, so I would need to come up with the HBS template for that, which honestly isn't too dissimilar from this. Notice how I have the idea of schedule item here. So basically it's just this tiled over and over and over again. This is my index page. So in the HBS, not this one. That one's awesome though. I don't need like standings right now. Schedules, you know, I'll keep that. Standings, whatever. App, whatever. Index. Okay, so I've got, notice I've called it left content and right content. That's because I wanted to use this idea pretty much over and over again. Same thing with main. So I'm just swapping out what's actually here. League standings, league schedule. Oh, league schedule already exists. Oh, how nice of me. I did this once upon a time. Alright. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so on schedules.js, all, I can just jump straight to render. And I can say league schedule. And that's already there, right? Yep, it's already there. Alright, this got lost somehow. How in the world did Carmen Sandiego lose that? Makes me wonder if it's missing on this page. It's not missing on this page. Very strange. Schedule item. So it looks like we can blow this up, right? You know what I mean? 1, 2, 3. Right content. 1, 2, 3. So again, just refresh, normal page, schedule all, good, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like that doesn't have padding, so I might want to do that. There seems to be padding right, which is so why. Nav section width is 95%. That's just an illusion. Okay. Team item, schedule item. What if I made the width 90%? And then give it some. Ooh, I don't want to give this padding. Right. It is in a section called left content, right content. So here, let's call this schedules page. So when you use a comma, you're basically saying that this rule applies to both of them, so you don't have to type it twice in a row. It's kind of useful. Left content, right content. I wanted padding. Good old 8 pixels. Oh, that destroyed it. Oh no. Dare I need to shrink it more than 90%? Is that what's going to fix it if I say 80%? No, that just didn't do anything. Well, it did this. Doesn't. Why is this overflowing? Section, left content. Oh, the section itself is busting out of the main div like that. Weird. Right. So I don't want. Do I not need up-down padding? Do I just need right-left padding? Go away. Alright, fine. What if I get rid of you padding? Will you go back to normal? Okay, you're back to normal. So again, I inspect this. What if I gave the schedule item 0 auto? Alright, that's what I want. Schedule. So keep in mind that I'm just creating the blank spaces for eventually I will want to load data into each one of these squares. Standings page, schedules page. Looks like I'm missing the concept of a home button. Do we agree? I think we agree with this. See, I can't get back to 3,000 easily. I should be able to. I'll hear something. Okay, so I'll add this to my layout. Okay, so I don't want these to all be like the same size because right now they're all flexed 1. So I wonder, I want to make it smaller, but I think it'll just look bad regardless. Okay. So let's also bring this back. What did I do? Notice how all this kind of affects schedules. So edit schedule route and template. All right, so let's review our goals. So understanding the relationship between routes, gets, posts, and rendering. So I'm pretty sure we've gone over all of those main points. Now we're going to start connection to the database. So let me pick a point of entry. Okay, so I know that this will clearly, we don't want to just be able to add teams, but we would eventually want to add games to the schedule. So we'll think about the schedule route first. So, as the year goes along, you should be able to add more items here and see that effect change on the page. So I'll need to make an add schedule page. So let's say here, under the schedules route, I could say the following. Copy this, make a get, say add game, render add game. So specifically, this add game is what they would type in, and this would be the HBS page. So here. So this is where I will copy some code from my Git repository. So add event. Copy, add an NBA game. Error. Obviously, I should say obviously, but that really shouldn't be there. ID, we'll still keep that. Name, we don't really need. Location time actually still both make sense, right? And name really shouldn't be name, should be home and away. Home, away. This doesn't exist. Neither does this. Neither does this. Time, location, name, name. Okay, so when you want to add a game, what it will do is it'll pull up this page, and then when I submit all of the information I typed in, this will do a post. So again, this pulls up the page, but if I want to actually, do that information, I should post. Now, specifically, right now, I'm assuming that I am adding information from the database, and I am going to store information from that database. So the first thing I would need to do is I would need to make sure that this route is able to connect to the database. So on my user route, I also have some helpful code. So what this line of code right here does is this establishes a bridge between Express and the Redis database. So I will need to install this. So here I quit, npm install, and it should just find that missing link, but specifically I needed to install -- save. So otherwise it won't, know that it existed there. Okay. So now that that's saved, I can create a connection to the database, and that's what this line of code would do. So this is going to allow us to talk to the database. Every time I want to talk to it, I'll talk to the client, and the client will basically be my middleman who runs in between our requests in the database. And finally, this is actually what connects to it. So it's not connected on user's route. This would be connected on schedule route. Okay. So now I can actually take information out of the database and put information into the database if I so choose. So when I want to add a game, basically the user will have typed some information. So the first thing that I would need to do is I would need to grab what the user typed in. And then this is actually for the other one. Alright, so on a post, I need to grab what the user typed in and then talk to the database. Okay, so let's go back to the addgame. So we are going to form a request to the database, and specifically we've got ID, we've got home, we've got away, we've got location, we've got time. So these keywords all need to be stored in my database. So here I'm going to fulfill the first part of my code. So let's grab what the user typed in. Again, this comes from event, so I'm going to call this game, and I want rec body ID. So in other words, whatever you typed in here, because it has ID, I am joining it with the phrase game, so I will call this game ID. Name no longer exists. This would be called home, and I'll change the other part in a second. That means that this is away, and so this would be home, and this would be away. And location is still location, and time is still time. So now what I've done is, now that I've grabbed all of that, I need to package it up into an object, and I need to give it to my database. So again, if I were to type this out, I would say client.hmset. So I'm going to go put an object in my database. So specifically, I need to put the object in there, and then I need to tell it what I would like it to do with that object. So one thing I can do is I could create it on my own outside here. I could say let obj equal, and I could give it the, no, I don't want to do it that way. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, so hmset takes keys, and then it takes fields. So my game ID, that is my key, and my fields are going to be all of the information that we just typed in, but specifically I am also going to have a function which is going to run the following code if there is an error and if there is not an error. So let's first think about what my object looks like. Well, we just told it that game ID is game ID. So when I ask for the home, please use the home variable. When I ask for the away, please give me the away variable. And you see where I'm going with this. If I ask for the location, I would like the location variable. And the time, I would like the time variable. Now it's time for this function part. So if an error does occur, then please just tell me what the error is. It's weird that it didn't console log correctly right away the first time. Else. This is on the schedules route, right? So I could redirect to schedules all. Hypothetically, that's what I want to do because there will actually be schedules there in the future. Is it smart enough to know that I'm on the schedules route? Probably not. Schedules / all. Cool. Cool. Alright, so I've never made a button for adding, so let's just look what this does. We'll go back. Could crash. I typed a lot of code. Crashed. Crap. Why did it crash? Cannot find module Redis. Did I ever install it? All right, let's see. npm install redis -- save. Okay. Oh, I already did that one. Oh well. Alright. Connected to Redis on the schedules route. Okay. NBA. Alright. Schedule. And here's all the schedules, standings, schedule, NBA. So schedule. Okay. But what if I say schedules / add game? This pops up, but it's ugly. Alright. Let's use the same trickery that we did before, and we can clean this up later. So let's see. Go back. Awesome. So over here, if I put this inside of a main, I think that might just do it for me. Because I already have code about how a main should behave. Like right here. The height should be 600. It should have some background color, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so let's do it again. Schedules / all. Nope. Add game. Okay, better. A little bit better. Add an NBA game. So that just needs to go also inside here. And oh, form group doesn't exist. Doesn't look like I got rid of that. Fine. Alright, looks like I never used that. I actually want margin left this time. Alright, so I'm going to turn on the Redis database, and we're going to see what this does. So I believe it's already on Redis database. There's also this program I have that will allow us to peer inside of the database. It's this guy. So you can see that currently there's those two events for my event app. And let's try this. So game number 001, home, Bulls, away, Lakers, location, Chicago, time, 7:30 p.m. Let's see what this does. Boom, crashed. Awesome. Not found. Users, documents. Did not like what I did. And here goes the thinking part. Okay, it says addgame. It's probably not smart enough, so I need to say schedules/addgame, because in the schedules app I have addgame, and for this addgame it has res.render addgame. So I don't think I was able to find it because I didn't give it the full path name. Okay, let's just start you up again. Don't think I have to, but just being safe. Okay, nothing's broken. Let's give it a shot. NBA. Schedule. Standings. Schedule instead of all. Add game. Try 001. Chicago. Oh, well, I guess I should have said Bulls, yeah. Bulls, Lakers, Chicago, 7:30 p.m. Okay, it's saved. Cool, let's check the database. I click the refresh button. It says DB2, but that's funny because I can see the three things there. So, there it is, Bulls games, okay. So now I have to come up with a way to pull this game out of the database. Okay. That's weird. You would think. Oh, I had hit that refresh button. Okay. So there it is. There's the game data. Okay. Schedule. I should add some of the search code here. So. So not on the add game page, on the league schedule page, league schedule. All right, yeah. Let's make that work. So again, I'm copying this from let's save the work that I've done so far. So will this be, so add a game to the league schedule. Okay. Of course I don't want that. I want the schedules / search and method posts. This doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. search for games by number. In the future, you could also do search for games by team. Alright, let's save this. So yeah, so the ID number. Okay. So over here on users, we've got add event, we've got search. Copy, schedules, addgame. So I should go underneath addgame. Search, it's not called event, it's called game. So look for the ID that I typed in, because again, on this page, what I typed in the input is going to have an ID. So hgetAll, the game ID, so if it's not there, the game does not exist, title is no, and if it does exist, this would be game ID equals what we said, and we should render the game. Oh no, wrong. Z. Let's call it game. And we don't have this page. So let's say we got team schedule. So I will call it, let's just say, addgame game.hbs section div So again, what this is doing is each game has a number associated with it. If you find that number, register the game page. If you do not find that number, then the game doesn't exist. So how exactly do I know what is going to be given to the page? I will know what will be given to the page because I know exactly what was in the page. So I know that it'll have the game ID, I know it'll have a home and away and a location and a time. So I can just give all of that information back after I've already looked at it. So here, we can just make this really basic. So the most basic of the basic. This is game number, and then game.gameID. Home team is team.home. Away team is team.away. Location is team.location. And time is game.time. Yeah. Alright, let's give this a shot. So here, what did I do? I searched for game, made game HBS. Search for scheduled game. Okay, let's just restart it. Oh, what? Did I capitalize those? So this is funny. None of those 3 pieces of information saved, but those 2 pieces of information saved. Game time, game. Oh, because I called them team and not game. What am I doing to myself? Alright, hope you noticed that watching the video. There they are. Bulls, Lakers, Chicago. Alright. So back to the, README. What have we done? Alright, so did this one, started a connection to the database, put information in the database, retrieved information out of the database, future goals, selecting more than one piece of information in the database. So that's pretty much it. Let's see. Let's pull this up. So I've covered those areas that we talked about. Like I said, I will have gone back and put timestamps. Things that we still need to do are retrieve more than one piece of information. You guys saw that I didn't do it right the first every single time. There was a little bit of guess and check involved, a little bit of just critical thinking, and of course just I've worked with this a little bit longer, so I knew where to look first. Hope it was helpful, and see you later.